All right, so Daniel chapter 2, to play catch up. Daniel was from Judah and Babylon. God had the Babylonians attack Judah. Daniel went into exile. And in chapter 1, the biggest life lesson we learned. Anybody remember what chapter 1 was? The big life lesson? Daniel was resolved, determined, as in Jim's Bible said, resolved not to cross God's line, not to compromise God. And that was about eating the food. He passed the test. All was good. King Nebuchadnezzar called him 10 times smarter than basically all his other magicians and enchanters. So then in chapter 2, we got in there. We got through the first part. And the big life lesson there, which hopefully I never forget because it just stuck with me so much. Daniel spoke with wisdom and tact. I just love that. And I guarantee every one of us in this room could practice that more and more. And that was because, King Nebuchadnezzar had this dream. He got all of his magicians together, and nobody could interpret the dreams. So he just said, "To heck with you guys, you're all getting put to death." And the commander Arioch, come to Daniel and was like, "Hey, I'm supposed to kill you and all your people." And then it says Daniel spoke to him with wisdom and tact. So he did not throw a fit, did not get out of hand. Even though it was basically his life was on the line right there. And then so what did he do then? He went and had a prayer meeting with his buddies, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were like, "Hey, we got this problem. Let's go straight to God with it in prayer." God revealed the dream to him. And one of the last little neat things, it says Daniel then praised the God of heaven. And I kind of tried to explain that a little bit, that here, it went from God of Israel to the God of heaven. And then he had a big thank you. You're exactly right. For several verses there, and he was praising God for giving him the answers. So that's where we're into today. We're actually going to see what the dream reveals. And if for some reason this goes by really fast, I don't think it will. But I'm not going to get into chapter 3 today. Just because it's kind of a whole different thing, and I just don't want to get halfway through 3, so we'll just finish 2 and then call it good. So verse 24, it says, "Then Daniel went to Arioch," that was the commander that was told to go put him to death, "whom the king had appointed to execute the wise men of Babylon, and said to him, 'Do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I will interpret this dream for him.'" Okay, so Daniel is pretty confident. He had the vision from God. God talked to him and was like, "Hey, here's the dream." So Daniel's pretty confident because God has gave Daniel everything he needs to know. So he's like, "Hey, whoa. Don't put anybody to death yet. Let me go talk to the king, and he's going to interpret the dream for him." So verse 25. Arioch took Daniel to the king at once, so they didn't waste no time, and said, and that's a good point there, "I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who can tell the king what his dream means." It's just kind of funny because, it doesn't matter. It's not a life lesson or anything like that, but the guard's kind of like, "Hey, I found this dude." No, he went to go put this dude to death, and he's just like, "Oh, wait a minute. Hey, I can give me a little time, and I can figure this out for you." But the guard is thinking to himself, "No, I went and found this guy. I was out looking, but it really wasn't. Just happened to stumble across him." Let's see. So 26. The king asked Daniel, also called Belshazzar, and if you remember my little thing, they all got new names. Daniel, and actually Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are the new names, not their Hebrew names. He says, "Are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret?" Okay. Daniel replied, and he's setting the stage right here. Know wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he had asked about. And pause right there. So Daniel is setting the stage, okay, for God to be glorified right here. He already says, no wise man, no enchanter, no magician, no diviner. And if you remember back in what we did last week, even Nebuchadnezzar's own astrologers and people, they answered the king, there is not a man on earth who can do what the king asks. And basically they said no king has ever asked for anything like this because this is so ridiculous. Only the little g gods could do this, and they don't even live around here. So God, our God, big G God, is setting the stage to drive the point home that no person here on earth or any of these so-called little g gods can do this, okay? So Daniel's setting the stage for that. So 27 again, Daniel replied, no wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he had asked about. But, and there's a good, sometimes there's the God puts the good buts in here. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown the king Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Your dream and the visions that pass through your mind as you lay on your bed or these. All right, before we get into them, Daniel set the stage. He tells the king who can't do this, okay, who can't interpret the dream. And then he says, oh, wait, but God can. Then he tells him who can interpret the dream. And this has got to make Nebuchadnezzar feel a little good here. When Daniel tells Nebi that he has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in the days to come. So basically, Daniel is kind of telling him that, hey, you've seen the future. Nebi's got to be sitting there being like, all right, there's something special going to be going on with me here. Because it says what will happen, so that's talking about what the future holds. All right, 29 and 30. As you were lying there, O king, your mind turned to things to come, and the revealer of mysteries showed you what is going to happen. As for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, and here's a good part, not because I have greater wisdom than other living men, but so that you, O king, may know the interpretation and that you may understand what went through your mind. So Daniel right there with that part when he says, not because I have greater wisdom than any other man. Daniel is trying to take 100% zero credit for this ability to interpret the dream. And that right there is a life lesson in itself, okay? We always want credit for things good that we do. It's just in our human flesh and our human nature. And I mean, it does feel good when somebody appreciates what you do. But people just in general want credit for the good that they do. It happens a lot, even in churches. Okay, they're no different than anywhere else. People want recognition that they think they deserve for what they've done. And I mean, I guess I can do it, but like, we're going to replace some of these posts out here in front of the church. Chet found us the post, got us the post. And so, you know what I mean? But he probably wouldn't have cared if anybody didn't know that. So, yeah. Okay, then pretend I didn't tell Chet because we're actually going to get to that. I mean, I don't know who all keeps setting this up. I got a pretty good feeling who sets this up every time I come in here. So, it's just simple things like that. I mean, it's good still to appreciate people, Chad. Thank you, guys, because I know you come in here and set this up all the time. So it's all okay. I didn't know if you two were. I don't want to leave anybody out. You know what I mean? But right here, Daniel he's taking none of the credit. Okay, he's like, I'm no smarter than all that. It's basically God through me is why I can do this. So if done for the right reason, God is the only one who should be glorified. God will see what you do, and you'll be rewarded in heaven. So we'll get to that. So if you want to turn there, Matthew 6. There's other verses that talks about other places in the New Testament that talks about your rewards in heaven. But this one, I'm pulling out Matthew 6 because it talks about in secret, okay? And that's why I'm pulling those out. So Matthew 6, verses 1 through 4.
I'm going to read away yours.
It's close.
It's close.
Yeah, that's right.
I haven't seen Debbie in there once.
Nice. Matthew 6, 1 through 4. So the verse we really only need is verse 4, but I'm going to read 1 through 4. So it says, be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men, and then here's the part, to be seen by men. I mean, you're going to do things in front of people, but don't do it, and don't have that your sole purpose to stand up. That's right. Yeah. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. Swallow that one there for a little bit. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by men. So I think back in those days, like a lot of the people wearing the fancy clothes, I don't know what they're all called, but like they would do that, right? I mean, they would, yeah, they would, if they're doing some righteous act, like giving to the needy, doing the food bank and all that stuff, they're making it known. They're ringing bells, they're squalling. Yeah. And it says, I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So and I brought this up before, but I'm gonna re-ask it. So sometimes I even have a problem, and I mean all churches do it, but like when you put your offering in the envelope and put your name on it, like in my old church, we had a number. So like say my number was 59. So when they got to the thing, they would write 59 when the people that do the accounting. But that somebody else is knowing that then, you know what I mean? So I just always thought that was a little odd, but I mean, that might be like picking needles or something. It probably doesn't really matter, but it's just something that always has crossed my mind that, I mean, everybody wants all their credit for their tax reasons and stuff. But if you're like me, I mean, some of you guys might get to, but I haven't got to itemize in a long, long time. So that tax giving thing, they can throw that out the window.
It's not true. It doesn't matter.
Huh?
You give.
It's
You can do the normal standard deduction, but up to, I think they just raised like $750 in charitable giving, you get off the top.
Oh.
So it's going to
Change a little bit.
That's one of the Trump things that went through.
Okay. Well,
Add that to a sound deduction then? That's what you're saying?
Actually, I think it went to, it's treated like a credit.
Credit.
It is there.
Yeah.
It helps you.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean,
But I don't need the church to mail me something. If I cancel checks enough, right?
True.
I mean, they don't need to mail.
that's true. Yeah. And so, I mean, that was just something, like I said, I might be pulling at straws or whatever there, but that was just something odd because almost every church that I've ever been to, like they usually have an envelope system that, you know, hey, if you want them to keep track, but then you're already, because I mean, I was on a stewardship and finance committee. Then people know. Okay, I'm just saying the people, whoever's on them committees, they know, like, okay, who's the good givers, who's not. I'm sorry to say, but it's true because I was on one of those committees for many, many years. Huh?
Our finance can be different.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, so whoever counts that and pulls them out of the envelopes, they got a good feeling. But now you got to remember the church I used to go to. I mean, we had at that time maybe 70 members total. You know what I mean? You knew everybody.
If you didn't get enough, they ask you, "Will you get some more to give?"
Yeah. Well, but that's happened to Tom before, huh? Yeah. All right, so that's just one of those weird things that just, when I read them verses, that just comes across my mind. Like I said, it might be nothing. It's just something that I always am thinking about. So sometimes I intentionally now, I try to, like even here, just throw it in the bucket, or if I put it in an envelope so nobody else sees or whatever, I don't write a name on it. Just kind of a weird thing that struck me.
I like
So
that next part too. is
Yeah.
How to pray.
yeah.
That's really good.
All right, so verse 4 says, so it says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Okay, so there you go. And then what Jim brought up, so it actually says the exact same thing basically for praying, and then if you read the next section for fasting. I'm just going to read verse 6. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So like I said, it's almost verbatim. And that's not saying that you can, like in a group like this, you can't pray or you can't get a group of people and pray together. But it's saying don't be out there praying for attention, to be like, oh, hey, the same as what Tom said with the giving. Look at me kind of thing. And then it says the same thing in the next section under fasting in verse 18. So that it will not be obvious to men that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So there's three cool little things that all fit hand in hand about doing in secret. All right. That was a cool little side note on that. All right, so let's see, was that the end? Did we go down to 30? Yep, so we're on 31. All right, so 31 through 35 here is going to be the dream itself. So we're finally going to be able to see what the dream was. You looked, O king, and there before you stood a large statue, and this is Daniel telling Nebi, an enormous, dazzling statue, awesome in appearance. In verse 32, I split this up in 5 different sections. The head of the statue was made of pure gold. That's section 1. Its chest and arms of silver. That's 2. Its belly and thighs of bronze. That's 3. Its legs of iron. That's 4. And then its feet partly of iron and partly of baked clay. While you were watching, a rock was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and smashed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were broken into pieces at the same time and became like chaff on the threshing floor in the summer. The wind swept them away without leaving a trace, but the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. All right, so let's just keep going, because I don't really want to talk about the dream until we get to the interpretations of it. Okay, this was the dream, and now it says we. In mine, it says we, and what does that mean? We, God and Daniel. Okay, he ain't got the mouse in his pocket. That's what Dad always used to tell me if I say, well, we did this. Well, who's we? You and the mouse? So now we will interpret it to the king. You, O king, are the King of kings. The God of heaven has given you dominion and power and might and glory. So right there, Ned and Babylon is going to be the head of the statue that's made of gold. Okay, and Ned probably likes that part of it. Like, hey, yeah, I'm on top of this statue. I'm made of gold. This is fantastic. A little bit more of that. Hey, I seen the future. Like, just keep telling me about this dream. I'm liking it so far. Verse 38. In your hands he has placed mankind and the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Wherever they live, he has made you ruler over them all. You are that head of gold. So, and like I said before, last couple weeks, like Nebuchadnezzar literally on earth is the most powerful guy on earth right now. It's kind of like the United States presidents for a long time. I mean, because our country has just grown. I mean, basically the president's probably the most powerful guy on earth. Just like Neb was back in those days. I mean, as far as earthly status, he was supreme ruler. Now there was many other little countries, but he was number one. So let's see, verse 39. Okay, Neb's going to learn the bad parts of his dream now. So he's the head of gold, likes that, but here it comes. After you, another kingdom will rise, inferior to yours. So this other kingdom is going to be the Persians, or some people call them the Medo Persians. And this is the chest and arms of silver on the statue. So we had the head of gold as Babylon. After that is the Persian Empire. And when it says inferior, it's not really talking about mighty, because I mean, if the next kingdom is inferior, how would it have overtaken it? But it's really just meaning like lower on the statue. Okay, so don't think, well, that's silly. Why would an inferior kingdom come and take over Babylon? But just lower on the statue. All right. So there's the second one. So next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule over the whole earth. Okay. So the next kingdom is the Greeks. Okay. And this literally did happen in real life. And this is what I said when we first started Daniel, if you were in here that first week, that Daniel predicts this. And some historians in that believe that Daniel was not written until after all this happened, because it matched up so good. So the next one is the Greeks, a bronze. This is, if you can remember history much, I don't, but it's just kind of funny. I seen something on TV about Alexander the Great, but this is Alexander the Great time, and this is the belly and the thighs of bronze. And now here's a cool thing to notice. Okay, the metals. You started out with gold, silver. Now we're at bronze. The metals are getting less valuable as you go down, but they're actually getting stronger in strength. Okay, because, I mean, you think gold, I mean, if it's pure gold, can't you just bend it with your fingers and stuff? Yeah. So the metals are getting less valuable, but stronger in strength. Okay, so we got that. And then verse 40. Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, for iron breaks and smashes everything, and as iron breaks things to pieces, so it will crush and break all others. Okay, we're to the legs, the iron legs. This is the Roman Empire. And why is that used for the legs? Because it probably stretched the longest period of time through history, if you think about it. But I can't remember when I said Daniel was written, but 500 and something BC, 60 something, 602. I had 605. Gosh, you're close though. So there, I mean, and then the Roman Empire lasted. I mean, you think about, I don't,
200 years.
was that, no, way more than that, because it was still going on when Jesus was around. The Rome,
It's over 1,000 years.
yeah, so super long time. And so you think about it, it's on the legs. Usually the longest part of most people's body is their legs. So that's why it's put there. So, and Rome even had armies that they called the Iron Legions of Rome. So iron in the dream. They had even armies that were called Iron Legions of Rome. They had iron armor, of course. So we got the four kingdoms, and that did literally happen then in history, in real life. You went from Babylon to the Persians, to the Greeks, and then to the Romans, okay? Now we're going to get into, I've studied it, and I knew a little bit about it, but like a little tricky stuff that's probably going to be hard for me to explain, but I'll do my best. So 41 and 43. Just as you saw that the feet and toes were partly baked clay and partly iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some of the strength of iron in it, even as you saw iron mixed with clay. As the toes were partly iron and partly clay, so the kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture and will not remain united any more than iron mixes with clay. All right, so 41 and 43, the way I take it, and like I said, I'm not the smartest man in the room. If you don't like what I say, go try to learn it and see if you can think of it better, learn it better than I can. So the way I got this, there's two different things going on. One, this is still talking about the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire's weakness actually came from within itself. Its people were divided, and that's how it basically crumbled through history. Just as the clay and iron in the feet did not mix. So that was part of the Roman Empire back then. But then also what this is getting at is that, so part of that Roman Empire, and if you can remember when we talked about Revelation, but when we were going through it, Russell, especially because I did a better job, I think, the second time I went through it, I always was saying that there's parts of the Roman Empire that there's a remnant, or people are going to try to revive part of the Roman Empire in the later parts of the tribulation. Okay, so that's what this is starting to hint at, because especially when we get to the 10 toes. So we get to the bottom of the statue. Think of that as the end times, okay? And you got 10 toes. So this remnant or revised version of the Roman Empire is the 10 toes, which is basically what that's going to be. If you can remember, the 10 earthly kingdoms that were united under the Antichrist. Okay, there's going to Revelation. We'll get into the verses, but there's 10 kingdoms, 10 kings, 10 nations that come together under the Antichrist, that go out and then try to battle Jesus at Armageddon and all that. And that's what this is referring to when you get down to the very bottom. One, yes, it was the Roman Empire back then because they fell apart from within, but then it's also leading like a prelude, I guess, so to say, of the final end times that we have not yet seen to this day. Because remember, Babylon comes back in Revelation. This Roman Empire, or remnant, or revised, whatever you want to put it, of the Roman Empire, they tried to bring back the Babylon. Remember the spiritual Babylon, and then also the Babylon, the city, and God destroyed it all in 1 hour, and everybody was like crying about it and everything. That's what they're going to try to do, and that's what those 10 toes represent. So I want to, it's Revelation 17. That's so you guys know, at least I ain't making up this 10 thing. And apparently it comes yet to play in Daniel. I think Daniel chapter 7 talks about 10 horns, which is all the same as these 10 kingdoms that Revelation talks about. So hopefully that come out kind of clear as mud. So Revelation 17, 12 through 14. It's going to be but pretty much the last few pages of your Bible. Revelation 17, 12 through 14. It says, verse 12, the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings. Okay, that's where we get 10 toes. You have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. And that beast is the Antichrist. Okay, you have Satan. I'm really thinking about after this, we should really go all the way back through Revelation again.
You like that.
I mean, do you?
I thought
Because
that
well,
when
I
we
know.
got to the end.
Huh?
I thought that when we got to the end.
Yeah. Well.
Start again.
Well, because like Kip, you weren't here for it. There's a lot of guys that weren't in here for that, and Jim, you weren't in here for it yet. Yeah. So, I mean, it would be fantastic to do it again. Because would you do it a third time, Russell?
Of course.
Yeah, I know that's what. Because I know when I read this, like I'm getting this but I studied that Revelation like deep twice. You know what I mean? So I know trying to explain it is a little bit tough for me. But so you got these 10 kings will receive authority as kings along with the beast. The beast is the Antichrist. So you got in the end times and during the tribulation, and if I'm right about it, the church is not there. But you got Satan, which is trying to imitate God. And you got Antichrist, which is basically trying to imitate Jesus. And then you have the false prophet, which is trying to imitate the Holy Spirit. So that's the unholy Trinity. Yeah. So these kings rally around the Antichrist, and they will make war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them because he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings, and with him will be his called, chosen, and faithful followers. So like I said, they get together with the Antichrist, battle Jesus at Armageddon. And I mean, we actually for those that die as a believer, we actually get to be there with Jesus. I don't think he's even going to probably give us a sword because we ain't really going to need it. I mean, Jesus pretty much destroys them with his mouth. But that, what we're reading in Daniel, when he gets down to the toes, that's what it's alluding to, predicting here in Revelation. But then that's still being predicted. Like, it hasn't happened yet. This is still going to happen. Let's see. I'll save that for a little bit yet. So does everybody kind of get that? I mean, you see the head of gold, Babylon. The next one was the Persians. Okay, all got that. Then this already happened. Then you had the Greeks. Then you got the Romans. The Romans were destroyed from within. But then when you read through Revelation, there's just a couple things that always point out that people are trying to revive the Roman Empire of sorts, and then rebuild Babylon, and they set up this coalition of nations that go battle Jesus at Armageddon, and then it's all destroyed. So let's see. Good with it? All right. In the time, verse 44, in the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set it. Okay, here he's talking about in the future kings, what we just read about in Revelation. In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. I'm gonna read 45 too. This is the meaning of the vision of the rock cut out of a mountain, but not by human hands, a rock that broke the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold to pieces. The great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true and the interpretation is trustworthy. So in verse 44, when it talks about in those times the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, that is talking about the millennial kingdom. Okay, and I know some of you might not know exactly what the millennial kingdom is. After Armageddon happens, believe it or not, Satan is not destroyed in the Battle of Armageddon. So Satan is bound. An angel comes down and fights Satan. A lot of people think it's Michael. But Satan is not destroyed. He is actually put into the abyss, okay? And he's going to sit there 1,000 years. Now, after Armageddon, the Antichrist, the false prophet, and all those 10 kings after Armageddon, they are thrown into hell, okay? But Satan is not. And you're wondering why in the world that is not? You can go back and look it up when I did the study of Revelation. Leave you on the edge right there. No, I can explain it, but Satan is not destroyed. So after Armageddon happens, Jesus actually then comes to earth. Well, I mean, he's here for the battle, but then he sets up his millennial kingdom, and they call it millennial for 1,000 years. So for 1,000 years, he will reign here on earth. Okay, the earth has not been destroyed yet. He's going to reign here on earth. And actually, for those believers that have already died, the way I take it, we actually get to reign with him. Okay, and then if you're asking, well, what in the world are we reigning over? Okay, if all the bad dudes Jesus done threw down in the hell, what are we reigning over? So during the tribulation, there are people that come to faith during the tribulation. Okay, and they come out of the tribulation alive in their human bodies. Okay, and that is who we are reigning over. And then so imagine after 1,000 years of still human people, they're going to have kids, they're going to have, you know what I mean? So it's going to reproduce. So this kingdom is going to grow and grow here on earth. And that is the millennial kingdom. So it's basically Jesus ruling with an iron scepter. And we, like I said, the ones that have died as believers, they actually get to reign with Jesus here on earth. And that's what verse 44 is talking about his kingdom will never be destroyed, because then there'll be, after the 1,000 years is over, and this is where I'll bring back Satan, so you guys, those that don't know. So he was put in prison into the abyss for 1,000 years, and then God is going to let him back out onto the earth. And if your thought, it was my first thought was, why in the world would he do that? Okay. The way I take it, and have studied it, learned it, and now have taught it, but you have 1,000 years worth of still people in their human bodies on earth that Jesus was reigning over. There must be some kind of inclination back of their minds. I'm gonna read one thing to where they must not do it in public, but in some of their minds, these people are reproducing. Babies are being born. Okay, babies are being born. Them babies are actually falling back away from God, from Jesus. Okay, and if you're thinking to yourself, what? Stupid, if Jesus is reigning, why would they do that? Go right to Adam and Eve. Everything was perfect in the garden, okay, and humans fell. So in this point, it's not uncommon to think, it was to me at first until I was trying to study it, but all in 1,000 years, how many babies will be born? You know, there's people that are going to necessarily, I guess, fall away. Okay, you got something to add to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So
Good.
Jeremiah and then Paul later in Romans talks about and all of Israel will be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the answer to that prophecy actually is when Christ comes, defeats Satan and the forces, as he's establishing the 1,000-year reign, all of Israel, regardless of belief or not in Christ, they are saved and they are allowed into the millennial kingdom. Because he's establishing, right, Israel, right? That is the total fulfillment of Jeremiah's prophecy that was given. And so they weren't all believers. In the same way that he called Israel out of Egypt, and they all passed through the sea, right? The waters parted, but that those that were over the age of 20 did not enter the promised land, right? They all died in the wilderness. In the same way, all of Israel will be saved again, right, at this stage, but during this time, some will still reject, some will still not bend the knee and really refuse to truly be saved for eternity.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a large part of who's there, and so it's like they're not all believers.
Yeah.
And even though they see great miraculous things, right? Because you gotta imagine that's got to be incredible.
Yeah.
Right, to see those armies crushed really in an instant.
Yeah.
Bullets, right? And so it's clearly supernatural, but yet they don't believe.
Still don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still won't.
I think
but
that-
they are reproducing.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
There
And
are children being born over this 1,000-year period.
And I think the children that are falling back into the millennial, that's why he put Satan down there and being held, because it's gonna be another cleansing of the earth.
that's right. So that's exactly right.
Cleansing of the earth.
So that's why then he releases Satan again to come back and round all those people up, whether the babies, the Israelites, you know, anybody that's an unbeliever yet during that 1,000 years, brings them all back together and then destroys them all. And then that's when we get into the white throne judgment and all that. But that's stuff that I had no idea. Like, what do you mean he's just tied up for 1,000 years?
Jesus,
That's
he
all
gives you.
before the white throne judgment.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
thought he was gonna, God thought he was gonna save the earth for 1,000 years, but like you said, children falling back into that, not believing.
That's right. And then
That's why Satan is.
God is using Satan as a tool again to round up any. So that way when then he creates the new heavens and the new earth, there's going to be it's going to be pure. Okay.
You've nailed it.
So this is where the Catholics call it purgatory. That's what that is.
I don't believe in that.
Well, we got a time frame here of.
Yeah, but it's no. They're waiting.
Yeah, if they're actually alive. Yeah.
Purgatory.
This is not talking about people that are dying right now.
Yeah. These people are alive.
Yeah.
Through this millennial period.
So you think you're
So
thinking
I can
that's
see where that could be distorted in.
Well,
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the people that he releases Satan out of, and that's why I knew we weren't going to get into chapter 3 today. Well, because I know some people have not went through this yet. So, because when he releases Satan out of the abyss to round up all the unbelieving, all the people that still have an inclination, hey, I'm not for sure about this whole God thing. Those are still alive humans. Okay, they have not died yet. They haven't done it yet. They are literally coming out of hell on earth of tribulation, and you would think then that would be enough to all turn to God, but apparently they don't, and so that's why God is going to use Satan then to round them all up, and then that way they're there, and then they'll have their little, I guess, Armageddon after Armageddon kind of battle thing, and then they will all get judged afterward. Them and all unbelievers throughout the course of history. None of them have gotten judged yet.
How many chances is that he gives you?
So when I go through, when I went through Revelation, I always call that this is just more of God's grace.
Yes, I mean, how many chances?
Yeah.
does he give?
Well, each person gets one, really. I mean, right? 'Cause
Right. True,
It's
but-
point of man wants to die, then comes judgment. But in terms of humanity,
Yeah, humanity.
there
Yeah,
is incredible. It
And-
shows the grace of God.
and having it wrote down
Yes.
for people to learn about. And this is why I've said it in here, and I think all of us really like the saying. But yeah, it's cool to talk about God's grace and mercy. But how can you be excited for God's grace and mercy if you don't know about His judgment and wrath? And that's where a lot of times, I mean, look at a lot of churches nowadays. We get the, oh, hey, grace and mercy, He loves you and all that. But we're throwing a little bit of that judgment and wrath. You know, and I've had guys in here before that, the church I grew up in, it was all hellfire and brimstone. Well, I think we need to bring that back a little bit and get a little more mixture of it. I think it would get people a little more worried. Because what I said at the end of Revelation when I did it up there, especially when you get after the white throne judgment and that if you truly believe all this is going to happen, wouldn't you probably live your life a little different?
Some would.
Yeah.
Some will continue as we see, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Some just, and even the first group of Israelites that came out of Egypt, and God calls them a stiff-necked people. They just refuse
Yeah.
to submit to Him, follow after Him.
That's
in
right.
spite of all the blessings and everything He gives them.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing that why people won't believe.
That's right.
But anytime you teach an incomplete Jesus and the character of God, you're overemphasizing certain traits, and in that you distort who God really is. So when you don't preach, right, the justice, right, that He is a God of justice.
Yeah.
And there is judgment that does come to those who refuse to believe. Then you create a God who is not the biblical God.
Yeah.
Right, and in that we don't truly appreciate Him.
That's right.
So Jesus Himself taught more on hell
That's
than
yep.
He did on heaven.
Yep.
So He wasn't afraid to teach about the judgment and wrath of God. I mean, He did it so that we might be saved.
Yeah.
Right? To understand. Because you can't be saved until you know you need it. Right? and so Jesus was careful to make sure that we understood that. And so
Yeah.
even in the New Testament after that, in the letters, they speak to that.
Mhm.
It's balance. But churches go too far each direction.
Yeah, either way.
Go to the hellfire and brimstone, and there are churches, and that's all they preach. And so you never heard about the love and the mercy of God. I mean, not enough.
Yeah.
And so that turned people off from that direction. Well, now with the other direction, it's like we can't judge people. I didn't, God did. I mean, Jesus, you're already judged. And so it's so we've lost that balance. It's this pendulum. It keeps swinging back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
We need to bring it back to the middle, right? Bring it back to the middle and give a balanced view of who God is. And man, that's a God worth following.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I feel like down here I think we mix it in pretty good over the. I mean, we even go get into submitting to our authorities one time and talking to the guy then who forgets to put some stuff on his property taxes. You know what I mean? We try to cover genuine, good, just about everything we can think of down here.
We're humans, we do make.
That's right. That's right. Hey, what helps is when we really do stuff like this and we're actually literally going through it word by word because we're not skipping around there here and there. You know what I mean? Whatever the book of Daniel is going to tell us, that we're going to hit it, you know? All right, so Like, okay, for Kip, do you kind of understand that? So that's what the kingdom that's never going to end, that's Jesus coming down and making this 1,000-year reign, okay, here on earth.
Okay?
If
If we all come back with him, what are we gonna do?
hang around, I guess, because it says we get to rule with
Those
him,
people that's raptured are gonna come back.
huh?
The people that's raptured.
The people that are raptured in the church,
So we'll come back with him.
we get to come back with him.
Resurrection.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah, but I got a couple questions about that, cause I heard something on TV the other day, I didn't think it was right, but it says that if you're cremated, you won't be resurrected,
that's not true.
resurrection.
That,
But if you die in a whole body spirit, as Kai said it was in the Bible,
yeah,
he said you will come back
So he just
resurrected, but
So he just condemned everybody at 9/11 that died in the towers because they were pulverized. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
Unless there's more cremation. He would be saying they can't be resurrected.
that's, I never even thought of it that way. That-
I'm just saying.
yeah.
I understand his emphasis, be buried, the body is sacred, fine, but he's distorting the truth.
Yeah,
so you will be cremated, right?
Sure, God is
'Cause I
capable of
thought
putting
the
you,
soul left the body.
It does.
And you don't care what to do with the
you have
body.
to be absent from the body to be present with the Lord.
yeah,
And so I didn't cease to, you never cease to exist. You go somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, like even right now, so I wouldn't call it purgatory, but those who don't believe in Christ, they're actually in hell. And that's why I keep reading Revelation. In the end, hell is thrown into the lake of fire.
yeah,
Right? And so the lake of fire is the final destination. We sometimes equate that to hell, but it's not. Because you can't put something in itself.
yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, that's why I don't know if you heard it, but like the whole Hades and all that, I always called that like hell 1.0, and then the burning lake of fiery sulfur is hell 2.0. That, well, 'cause in my brain, that was the easiest to explain it, because when people ask, well, why is Hades, death in Hades being dumped into hell?
In my mind, here's the distinction. Hell is where our soul goes if we don't believe in Christ. The lake of fire is when our resurrected eternal
Yeah.
body that we now inhabit is cast into and will be tormented forever.
Yeah,
It's totally different because
Could-
we are physical beings, and the resurrected body is a physical body meant to inhabit a place, right? And so God He didn't create hell or He didn't certainly the lake of fire for us. It's for the demons, right?
The
Those that
devil,
rebel.
yeah.
But that nonetheless is where a lot of humans will wind up in that resurrected body. That's why that first resurrection is so glorious, because those people,
So
they're not going there.
they're not getting the
Right?
second death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So for what? Because Kip, I can see it on your mind. So what he's talking about right there. So when the dead are judged, and I'm talking about the dead as in unbelievers or judged, they actually get a body just like believers get a new body at the rapture. Okay, the unbelievers get a new body for their judgment to go into the burning lake of fiery sulfur. Okay, so just their spirit ain't gonna feel the heat, as much. That they actually get a new resurrected body meant for hell.
So you're saying your body will go into the lake of fire?
The resurrected body that you're given, right, will be eternally judged.
And the soul go to heaven?
No, the soul still, no, if you didn't know Jesus, salvation
The
has
body and the
always
soul
been based
goes
on
to
what Christ and what He's done.
The body and the soul goes?
Oh, yeah.
It hit me
If you don't
today.
believe,
Just
yeah.
it did. It did.
Yeah. And so-
Yeah.
Look how many questions we're having.
I know.
right now.
And I mean, it'd be good. I mean, with everything going on, to just revisit the churches, all that stuff. We might have to think about that.
Another question.
Yeah.
If we come back with Jesus for those 1,000 years, I asked a while ago, what will we do?
Yeah.
We don't know.
No.
Will we be holy because we was in heaven with Jesus and He brought us back? Or will we be sinners?
No, the
Forever righteous.
yeah,
Huh?
Righteous by Christ, yeah. I mean, you are perfect, sinless, right? But you will have, when you return for this 1,000-year reign,
Right.
you're given that resurrected body. It's a physical body. We will reign. There will be things for us to do.
Mhm.
Right.
Because the garden's restored. Adam and Eve and what they were originally designed for was what? To care for the earth, right? To cultivate it and to let it increase. That's how we rule. And we're going to actually get to fulfill what we were created for alongside Christ, Him ruling over us, right? It doesn't get any better than that. It's just so fun.
Good job, man. So,
Well, that, so next Wednesday.
No, I just get excited about it because.
oh, I know.
I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah.
You can wear that Sunday when he's preaching.
Yeah.
Hey, that-
I won't be here this Sunday to preach. A good friend of mine is.
I just couldn't understand why we did so, what it was bringing us back.
Well, let me.
Yeah.
We've been with him, praising him, and then we're down to him worshiping, then he brings us back. to
It's
the
okay.
stuff.
We'll
Yeah.
finish it next week.
Forever to be with him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even at the end of 1,000 years, our role doesn't happen because that's when the new heavens, the new earth. And again, we are physical beings as humans. Our souls inhabit that, and we're not going to be like playing harps in the clouds.
Right.
You know, we're made to be on the earth, but in the new earth.
Yeah.
In a perfect body.
Yeah, to explore, to develop.
A what?
I mean,
Wow,
you know,
chart
that's-
pad next time.
Chart a path.
Chart pad,
oh.
dry erase board.
Yeah.
For him next time.
Yeah, I use like
Explain
peel
this.
off white post-its. That's my thing.
So I do want to bring up one thing. I think this will go in with what Richard's talking about a little bit. But Isaiah 65, okay, it's about in the middle-ish of your Bible.
Right after Proverbs, isn't
Yeah,
Before.
Isaiah what?
65.
What chapter?
So the reason I bring this up, it's Isaiah 65, starting in verse 17. The title in my Bible is called New Heavens and New Earth, okay? But now, if you read this, it cannot be talking about eternity, because there's a part in here, and I'll explain why when the part that I read. I really think this is mostly talking about the millennial kingdom, because I've read so many things on this, and it goes back and forth. Some people believe it's talking about heaven. Other people think it's the millennial kingdom. Some people think it's a combination of both. You guys can kind of go look at that. But I'm going to read it as it's talking about the millennial kingdom. And I'll point out why it can't be about the eternity, heaven. So Isaiah 65, verse 17, it says, "Behold, I will create new heavens and a new earth," and that is going to happen. "The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. But be glad and rejoice forever in what I will create, for I will create Jerusalem, the capital city of heaven, to be a delight, and its people a joy. I will rejoice over Jerusalem and take delight in my people. The sound of weeping and of crying will be heard in it no more." Okay. That section, I can totally agree. That's about the new heavens. Okay. But then here, we're getting a little farther. "Never again will there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, or an old man who does not live out his years." Okay, and then here it says in verse 20, "He who dies at 100. Well, there's going to be no death in heaven. So that's why that 17, 18, and 19, I could agree that that's talking about the new heavens, or heaven in general, the eternity. But here from 20 to the end, I think this is talking about the millennial kingdom. So, "Never again will there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, or an old man who does not live out his years. He who dies at 100 will be a mere youth. He who fails to reach 100 will be considered accursed." So we learned after the flood, when we did Genesis, our lives got shorter. I feel like in the millennial kingdom, they're going to go back the other way. And then here we go, Richard. This is where it's going to point out, I think, what will be going on in the millennial kingdom. "They will build houses and dwell in them. They will plant vineyards and eat their fruit. No longer will they build houses and others live in them, or plant and others eat. For as the days of a tree, so will be the days of my people. My chosen ones will long enjoy the works of their hands." We are actually going to enjoy our work again. So how about that? Wake up and be like, yeah, I'm going to work today, and be excited about it. So, 23, "They will not toil in vain or bear children doomed to misfortune." So, birth defects, all that kind of gone in the millennial kingdom. "For they will be a people blessed by the Lord, and they and their descendants with them. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. And why is that? Because he's with us right here. You know what I mean? The wolf, and here we go. This is going back. If you can remember Genesis, the wolf and the lamb will feed together. The lion will eat straw like the ox. All going back pre-flood era, because like John said a while ago, the garden is coming back. But dust will be the serpent's food. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, says the Lord. So you can go look up more about Isaiah 65. But in my opinion, that 20 to 25 is really talking about the millennial kingdom. And that first part, yes, it could be talking about it, but I think that's more like heaven, eternity, heaven. So I always wanted to bring that up. And Russell informed me that we're already over time. So, yeah.
I was told last week to keep track of
Yeah. So, hey, it's no big deal in here. I had a feeling that was going to bring up a lot because I knew we have a whole bunch of new guys than what we had when we did Revelation. And that's been, a couple years ago. So, unless you keep studying it, some of that stuff you just kind of forget. So we will. Where did we even leave off? 40, 44, 45. All right, I'll make me a little note. That's where we'll pick up next week. And we probably, the rest of it really ain't all that much. So we can probably do that and 3. Yeah. So far, all of it. It's just been so many neat things you can get out of it. I honestly can't wait till we get into. Where is that one that I wanted? 5. Yeah, 4. All right, so 40. Let me mark that. All right. Anybody else want to do the praying out?
Yeah.
Yep. You want to, Richard? All right. Sounds good.
Father in heaven, thanks for bringing us all here tonight. Probably didn't come on our own will, but hey, you're always here, so that draws us here, dear Lord. And you're the one that controls us and takes care of us, so thanks for this lesson tonight, and help us to apply it this week, and to remember, and always think about you, like the first part of what Brandon said, what do you have in mind for us? Help us to remember that, and to do it. With your help and will. Amen.
Amen.
You gotta wear that until